Okay, got it. Recording, no problem. I am a planned giving consultant. I've been doing planned giving fundraising since 1997, as Libby mentioned. So this is my 27th year. And I'm devoted to small and mid-sized nonprofits, helping them launch and grow planned giving fundraising. I used to be an attorney, but I hated that very unpleasant way to make a lot of money. That was many years ago. I'm not an attorney now. I'm strictly a planned giving fundraising counsel for nonprofits. And I'm based in Emerald Isle, North Carolina. Permit me to share my screen and we will get started. My thanks again to Mark. His company is Pro Financial Fitness, and to Libby, who runs WYTV7. Thank you again for hosting, Mark. Libby, here is what we are going to talk about. A little what and why of planned giving, so everybody's on the same page, starting in the same place. Who your best prospects are, so that you're talking to the right folks about planned giving fundraising. How to get started, and I have a little surprise there for our hosts on that. There's one slide, how to get started slide, a little tease. They can look for that. Some marketing ideas for you. Simple slide on continuing ed if you want to learn more about planned giving after today. And Q&A. I would love, and I hope you will, don't just do it because I would love it, do it for you. Please put your questions in the chat and we will get to them, because that puts the focus on what's on your mind. You know, of course, I do the best I can to anticipate questions, but can't do that universally successfully. So please, if a question arises, put it in the chat and we will talk about it. And we're such a small group, you probably will just be able to talk about the question. Of course, through our time together, we're here to debunk the top 5 nasty, hateful myths of planned giving that keep small and mid-sized nonprofits away from planned giving. Hate those myths. So what and why of planned giving? Here's the simple definition that I have for planned giving. When folks are thinking about whether to make a gift to you of this type, they are considering how you fit within their long-term plan, their estate plan, their retirement plan. And really what that means is how you fit alongside their husband, wife, partner, children, grandchildren, and maybe sometimes even dear friends are in our long-term plans. So you can think about how significant that decision is to put you alongside those dear loved ones. But that's what's at play when folks are considering a planned gift to your nonprofit. And for today, the gift that we are going to focus on today, this is a gift of cash to your nonprofit at the donor's death. There are lots of other types of planned gifts we're not going to focus on, because we're going to focus on how to start planned giving. And you'll see our focus is going to be on gifts in people's wills. So this is long-term fundraising, right? Because it's not cash to you until the donor has died. And a little motivation about planned giving. And you're here, so you're motivated already. But just to be sure that you're understanding what planned giving can do for your nonprofit, it enhances your sustainability, helps ensure your sustainability, because this is long-term fundraising, again, as I had mentioned. And how specifically does it ensure your sustainability? Through endowment growth, or the launch. Your nonprofit may not have any endowment. Endowment, of course, is that sort of savings account that you never spend the principal of. You only ever spend the income, and maybe not even all the income, year after year. But it's that nest egg that helps you preserve your work for the future. So that's the endowment. Again, of course, it ensures your sustainability because you have that nest egg for the future. And again, launch or grow. So if your endowment is absolutely zero, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. The biggest endowments in the country that you can think of, Karen, you're in Michigan, so I'll pick University of Michigan. University of Michigan has but probably, I'm sure, multi-billion-dollar endowment. But at one point, that endowment was zero. So, we don't get discouraged because our endowment is zero. Not at all, right? Or if you have an endowment, planned giving will help you to grow that endowment. I think of this as get a finger, grab a hand fundraising. So we can learn something from these iconic brands and probably 1,000 others. Not that fundraising is a transaction. That is not what I'm saying at all, especially planned giving fundraising. But that's not what we're taking, the transactional nature of a relationship with these brands and all the others. But you have an opening with these brands. Let's say it's Starbucks. You go in for a coffee. Does it end with the coffee? Like, the coffee is just the beginning. You can buy their music. You can buy their coffee accessories and accoutrements. You can buy their food, their swag, right? So it starts with the coffee, but they want you to take another step or lots of other steps with their brand. And that's the part that we're taking away. When you see who we're going to be talking to about planned giving fundraising, you're talking to the right people. You're going to be asking them to take another step with your work, or if you will, with your brand. So who are these best prospects, the folks you want to talk to about planned giving, about a planned gift for your nonprofit? These are the folks who love your work. They are inspired by your mission, your values. How do we know this? We know it from their giving history. These are your most consistent, loyal donors. These are the folks who, when you query your database, you're looking for folks who, if you've been around, well, Karen, I'll use you as an example, 16 years, you're celebrating your sweet 16. So 16 years, these are the folks who have made 16, 20, 25 gifts, maybe over 16 years. But of course, that's the maximum, but you get the idea. Folks that have been giving to you so consistently, so loyally, that sometimes they're even giving more gifts than one per year, right? So you might have folks who have given, well, if it's not 16 years, maybe they've given 20 gifts in 15 years, or even 15 or 18 gifts in 10 years. You get the idea. Those are the two variables that we're playing with when we look for our most loyal, committed donors: number of years, number of gifts. And if you know your donors' ages, then we're looking for folks roughly 55 to 60 and over, because that's where people start thinking about their long-term plans, the retirement plans, estate plans, as a method of giving back to the causes that have been important to them and to their families. Now, notice I didn't say that's when we start thinking about our estate plan, our retirement plan at 55, 60. No, of course not. It should be decades before that, especially if there are children, for guardianship issues. But the age at which we start thinking about giving back through those long-term plans, that's about 55 to 60. Now, you may very well not have age in your CRM database. Not to worry. Just use the giving history. You'll be fine. For folks who have giving history, rely on it. If you don't, you're not at a disadvantage. Don't click off the webinar. You're not sunk in planned giving by any stretch. Just use the giving history. Look for those most loyal, consistent donors through your history. And this is a new fundraising initiative. So I think with any new program, you want to look to your board for leadership. I like to see 100% participation across the board, that meaning that everyone on the board has a long-term gift, a planned gift for the nonprofit, as long as they're on the board. Now, what they do after they leave the board, that's between them, that's really up to themselves. But while they're on the board, I like to see 100% participation in planned giving to help you launch this new initiative. Okay, we're taking on our first myth that this is only for your wealthy donors. Absolutely not. You'd be making a big mistake, leaving a lot of money on the table if you thought that this was only for your wealthy donors. Notice when I was just talking about your best prospects and querying for their giving histories, did I say anything about minimum gift size? No, I didn't. Deliberately. I don't care if those are $5 gifts. If there are 20 $5 gifts over, let's say an organization's been around for 20 or 25 years, and they've got people who've been giving for 20 years or 18 years. If every single one of those gifts is $5, they are a terrific prospect for a planned gift to your nonprofit because they're thinking about you so often. And it's very likely that they wish they could give more, but they feel they can't, or they actually can't. I mean it. Average gift, $5, but with the kind of consistency and loyalty that I was describing, great prospect for a planned gift. So this is not only for your major donors, your wealthy donors, not by any stretch. Myth number one, cut off at the knees. So how to get started? Well, what are we going to be talking to these ideal prospects about? Charitable bequests. Charitable bequest is a gift in someone's will. Those two things mean exactly the same. I'll use them interchangeably. Charitable bequest, gift by will. Now, as I mentioned when I was explaining where we were headed, remember I said that I had a little treat, an homage actually for our hosts. If you take a look at the first letter in each bullet, you will see that it spells out Pro FF for Pro Financial Fitness, Mark's company, and WYTV7 for Libby's station. So, homage to our hosts there. So things might be worded a little bit awkwardly, but and Mark, I'm sorry I couldn't spell out Pro Financial Fitness. That was going to be a slide that I don't think anybody wants to read, and I certainly know I don't want to talk through. So I had to abbreviate FF. I hope you accept my shortening there. So please name the average charitable bequest in the U.S. It is $35,000. That's the average. Now, obviously, that means some are much higher and some are much lower. The smallest gift I've ever seen in someone's will is $1,000. Never seen less than that. So for some of you, that might even be a substantial gift. But the average, reliable average, $35,000. Really, these are the most popular planned gift, these gifts in wills. And that's one of the big reasons to start here, because they are the most popular planned gift. You're going to see that through the history that you're going to be doing planned giving fundraising. Today's Thursday. You might take tomorrow off or Friday. I would say, take the weekend to think about this, and you could probably launch on Monday or Tuesday. So your planned giving fundraising kickoff, you don't need big splashy websites or big events or anything. You just start talking to the right folks about gifts and wills. That's your launch. So you can start that Monday or Tuesday. Maybe take Monday to do the queries. Tuesday, launch your program. So less than a week, you'll be started. And you're going to be going on for decades in planned giving. And you're going to find that at a minimum, 75% of all the planned gifts you're going to get are these simple gifts in wills, charitable bequests. And that goes for the biggest nonprofits you could think of throughout the country. I assure you, that at least 3/4 of their planned gifts are the simplest gifts in wills. And these bullets that we're getting to are going to explain why that's the case. But I've seen as high as 90% of all the planned gifts at a nonprofit be these simple gifts in wills. So you'll lose nothing by only ever doing charitable bequests, or you'll lose very little because these are the vast majority of all the gifts anyway. And I've got a little more to say about other types of gifts when we debunk the hateful, spiteful myth number 2, which we will get to. All right. But for now, just know that this is the most popular planned gift by far. At least 3/4 of all planned gifts and wills. You only need to look at the giving histories to be amazed. It still happens to me. I'm looking at a one-dimensional screen and my synesthesia kicks in. I get goosebumps looking at the loyalty over so many years that so many donors have. And of course, we don't care what the size of those gifts are, as we made very clear in debunking myth number 1, right? But the giving histories are really moving in a lot of cases when you start going back and querying. Firmly read the Riot Act to naysayers, because fortunately, gifts of cash are the most likely gifts by far. I'm thinking of the naysayers here. I'm going to channel them. I don't have a lot of patience for naysayers in any realm. The folks who think about why we can't do whatever instead of how we can. I like to focus overwhelmingly on how we can. So the naysayers, to channel them a little bit, you can hear the whining. Oh, we can't do planned giving. Oh, no. We can't start planned giving on Tuesday, because you know what's going to happen? You know what kind of gifts we're going to get in people's wills? We're going to get junk cars. Our donors are going to give us junk cars, and we're not going to know what to do with them. And we're going to have to insure them and move them and sell them. It's going to be awful. And worthless Hummel collections. That's what we're going to get from our donors. Okay. So that's my channeling of the naysayers. You can see how little respect I have for those folks. No, overwhelmingly, I've been doing this since 1997. 98 to 99% of the gifts I've seen in wills are the most valuable, most simple, most straightforward, most desirable gifts of cash. So you can, I was going to say, cut the naysayers off the knees. No, don't do that, because that's violent. Cut the naysayers' arguments off at the knees. I wish they would think more highly of your donors, your loyal, committed donors. The vast, vast majority of gifts you're going to get are the very desirable gifts of cash. Sorry, naysayer. I'm not, actually, I take that back. I'm not even sorry, naysayer, because I don't like naysayers. So bring your naysaying elsewhere. Gifts of cash are what you're going to get. What? No technical convos? No, not at all. You're not experts in writing wills. What type should this be, a percentage or a dollar amount? You are going to have conversations with your donors, not about technicalities of wills. You're going to have conversations about what you have in common with these most loyal donors. And what is it you have in common? Your work. You're an expert in your work, and they love your work because it's something they've been loyally giving to for a long, long time. That's why we start the conversation with our most loyal, committed donors. So you're going to be talking to them about your work, about how important your work is in your community, how important it is that that work be sustainable in your community. That's what the conversation is about. Anything technical related about wills, you're going to politely refer them to their attorney. That's who they should be having that kind of a conversation with. You are talking to them about the work that you love and that they love, and that's what you have in common. Your donors love it. There's no lifetime cost. Of course, this is a gift in their will, so there is no lifetime cost to the gift in their will. Now, you might say, well, I don't know. You probably don't want me to channel the whining naysayers again, so I'll spare you that. But you might say, well, what if people, take the gift out of their will? Because they could change their mind. Yes, they can. But average national statistic, 96% of people who have a charitable bequest in their will do not change their mind. So a measly 4%. And you're going to be good stewards of your planned giving donors, the ones who let you know about that. We're coming up on the folks, last bullet. We'll get to the folks who won't tell you, but the ones who do tell you, you're going to be using good stewardship practices with those folks. You're going to keep them close to your work, right? Close to your nonprofit. So you're not going to have to worry about being your donors being in that tiny 4%. All right. Take not another step. Respectable planned giving programs can stop here. I have more to say about that when we debunk another of the insidious myths coming up very, very, very shortly. But you can start, I want you to start with charitable bequests, and you never have to go beyond. You never have to offer those other types of gifts. We'll say more about that very shortly. This is very easy for your donors and for your team. That's for three very simple reasons. There are three things that are common to wills that make this easy for your donors and for your team. Everybody knows what wills are. Everybody knows how wills work. And everybody knows they need a will. Those three things are in your favor. In terms of making it easy for your donors, you don't have to spend precious marketing time and money educating your donors about how life insurance can be a valuable planned gift, which it can, but you don't have to spend time and resources educating your donors about that, or about charitable remainder unit trust with net income makeup provisions, which is a real thing. I didn't just make up that string of words. That really exists in planned giving. But you don't have to teach your donors about the nuances of that thing, because you're talking about simple gifts and wills. And this also makes it easy for your team. You don't have to educate your team about the nuances of charitable remainder unit trust with net income makeup provision. Everybody knows what wills are. Everybody knows how wills work. Everybody knows they need a will. Common ground. Keep it simple. That's yet another reason to start with the charitable bequests. And finally, we had to get in WYTV 7. So there it is. I did not make up this statistic for the benefit of WYTV 7. It's true. 7 to 8. For every will that someone tells you that they have included you in. So a donor tells you, we've put you in our will, my will. For every one you know about, there's another 7 to 8 folks who will never tell you. It's just so personal and so private for them that even when you're in their will, they're just not going to let you know. Now, we give them lots of opportunities to let you know, but that's just the way it is. For some folks, it's just so private, they're not going to tell you. And there's our homage to our hosts and all the reasons why charitable bequests are the place to launch your planned giving. As I promised, debunked myth number 2, that we have to offer lots of planned gift options. No, you don't. When your planned giving program is 15, 20 years old from now, you can still just be offering and promoting simple gifts and wills, charitable bequests, and you will have a very respectable, very successful, scalable planned giving program in those 20, 25 years. And all you're ever doing is promoting charitable bequests, gifts and wills. Now, as I alluded to earlier, there are lots of other planned gifts, life insurance, charitable annuities, and charitable trusts and things, and those can be valuable gifts. I'm not dissing those. I work with them with lots of charities that I work with, but you don't have to go into those. That's the comfort. You don't need to, ever, if you don't want to. You can stick with gifts and wills and be very successful, scalable, and have that respectable planned giving program for decades. So, myth number 2, debunked. Hate these myths. The corollary to number 2 is that planned giving is too technical. We have to offer lots of gift options, so that makes planned giving technical. I think I've cut this myth off at the knees. It is not technical. It's simple when you launch it correctly. Insidious myth number 3 bites the dust. And I don't feel bad about it. I don't. I hate these myths. I don't feel bad about it. So this is where we are so far. What and why of planned giving. So we all start on the same place. Who your best prospects are. You want to be talking to the right folks, those consistent, loyal donors, and how to get started. Gifts and wills. And we've debunked 80%, no, 60% of that's why I was a lawyer. I was terrible at math. 60% of the top myths debunked, 2 more to come, along with some marketing strategies. But here is myth number 4 that we are cutting off at its knees, that planned giving requires a lot of money. Oh, it's going to be awful. You're going to bust our budget with planned giving promotions. We just can't do it. That's the naysayers, of course. That's channeling the naysayers. It doesn't require a lot of money. I'm about to share some very low-cost, low-lift marketing tips with you. But these myths, this is not too subtle, is it? Is this the red, the mirroring, it's like 60-point font? This is coming across, right? It's not too subtle? Okay. I want to make sure. So some marketing ideas that I've got for you. At events, you're drafting speaking points, or maybe you're the speaker. You in just a minute or maybe 90 seconds at the most, you can explain that you're now focusing on your long term. You could spend a couple of sentences talking about how important the sustainability of your work is for the community. Of course, you're preaching to the choir there because these folks have come to your event, so they know that. And in focusing on the long term, you're encouraging gifts and wills and how easy it is for folks to include you in their will. There you go. That's it. There's your speaking points on wills and promotion at the event. And if you're doing a digital program or a print program, little sidebar. I love sidebars. I'm a big fan of sidebars over articles. Articles like 300 words. I have to draft about, and to get it approved, the commas. No, that should be an or, not an and. Please, sidebars, third of a page, 40 or 50 words. You can knock it all out. So the speaking points can be maybe just shortened a bit and then repurposed into the sidebar for your program. For print, your print channels that you may have, sidebars or oh my, look at this egregious mistake right here. That's supposed to be or, sidebars or articles. That's egregious. If our hosts send you a survey, I would flag that. Slide number 13. Tony, whatever his last name, I can't remember, but nice guy, but he had a mistake on slide number 13. That's egregious. Sidebars or articles is what it's supposed to say in your newsletter and your annual report. So again, big fan of sidebars. I hope, I said or, I'm supposed to say or articles. I hope you don't get tasked with the 300-word article. It's so unnecessary. Third of a page, sidebar. Repurpose that same sidebar from the event that we were just talking about, right? Or if you do this one first, then use it again for your event program. Newsletter, annual report, whatever print channels you've got. The annual report, if you're recognizing your other donors in your annual report, whether print or digital, I know digital annual reports are very common now. If you're doing that for all your other donors, don't your planned giving donors deserve the same respect? I believe they do. Of course, that's what I'm going to say. I'm the evangelist for planned giving, so I'm going to say that naturally. Yes, place to recognize your planned giving donors and invite others to join them. For your digital channels, whatever digital channels you've got, repurpose those sidebars or, yes, and here I got it spelled correctly. So we're on an upward trajectory. You see that? The spelling is improving. There's not a spelling error on slide 14, only on slide 13. So sidebars or articles, hopefully you don't have to do the article, repurpose those, your digital channels, simple page on your website. You don't need those calculators. And there's these companies, they'll charge you like $500 a quarter for the add-on web pages. And of course, it has your brand identity, of course, but everybody knows it's not yours because we all know to look at the address bar by now in a web browser. So we can tell it's not your pages. And they've got encyclopedias of planned giving where you can research the nuances of charitable remainder unit trusts with net income makeup provisions and tax calculators, right? And income calculators. You don't need that. You don't need that because you're not doing that. You're not launching your plan giving program in any of those ways that require any of those subscriptions to the $500 a quarter websites. Simple page, maybe 2 pages. I'll grant you 2. That's really all you need, but 1 will do it. So what does go on that page? Pull quotes maybe from a couple or a donor who has included you in their will, about how easy it was, or about how much they love your work and that's why they did it. So a simple pull quote, maybe a picture or 2 of donor couple. I would put a little space in, or use some space explaining again the importance of your work to the community and its sustainability, and maybe a contact person. And there you go. That's it. That's a web page for planned giving. And we know that contact person is not going to be having technical wills conversations, right? That contact person is going to be talking about what they have in common with your loyal, committed donors, your work. That's what the conversation is going to be about. So you're not setting that contact person up for, a conversation that is going to be all about how to draft wills. Not at all. Not at all. And a simple little digital suggestion: everybody in your organization could put this in their email signature, that it's easy to include us in your will. For direct mail, now here I'm envisioning direct mail that is not planned giving devoted. If your budget allows for planned giving devoted email, direct mail, then that's terrific. But these are low cost strategies I'm giving you. So I'm envisioning a direct mail package that has some other purpose, but you're going to put a planned giving buck slip in to that package. So buck slip, by that I mean something that's printed 3 on a page. 3 on a page. Where did we hear that before? The sidebars. You're repurposing the sidebar from your events, from your print channels, from your digital channels. The same sidebar. My voice cracked. Sorry, like I'm 14. Sidebar. I get excited. Repurpose that same sidebar. 1/3 of a page, you drop it in the package. It doesn't increase the postage cost. So you might do your sidebar in a little different color, maybe, to draw attention to it, but it's that repurposed sidebar that we used in all those other cases. Drop it into some of your direct mail that you're sending. And I suggest a simple way: next time you do a print run of reply envelopes. So now these are not the BREs, the business reply envelopes that the post office regulates, and it's got that postage indicia on it. You can't do that with these. But if you have reply envelopes, they have your office address, and then you send those with some of your mailings that are non-BRE, then the next time you do a print run of however many envelopes you get at a time, 500, 5,000, whatever, on the back flap, on the flap, the flap is only on the back, so on the flap, put a little check off. Send me info on including your organization name, ACA perhaps, in my will. And then the person checks that. They see it if they have interest, they check it, they send it back to you. Now, of course, then the person who opens your mail needs to know to save those envelopes, right? So there you go. A little low lift, low cost marketing tips. Insidious myth number 5. Oh, you can hear the naysayers. Oh, you're going to launch planned giving on Tuesday? You're going to kill our other fundraising. People are going to put us in their will, and they're going to leave us junk cars on top of it and worthless Hummel collections, and then they're going to stop their other giving. It's going to be awful. Naysayer, I'm not sorry to cut your argument off at its knees. So I've been doing planned giving for 27 years. I have seen thousands of people inform charities that I'm working with that they have included the organization in their will, and then they have increased their other giving. Increased, not decreased. Do some people decrease? Sure. Not many. Okay? Well, you might say, well, that guy, Tony, long name, I can't remember. It's Marty something. Nice guy, but anecdotes. All he's got is 27 years worth of anecdotes. What am I going to do with that? It's a quarter of a century, but they're anecdotal. Okay, fine. Then I will refer you to the quantitative research of Professor Russell James at Texas Tech University. He studies planned giving fundraising. It's his area of research. And in one of his research projects, he found that on average, 75% of people who have included a nonprofit in their will increase their other giving to that same nonprofit. So you've got my 27 years of anecdotes, and you've got Professor Russell James's quantitative research, cutting your naysayer's argument off at the knees. Again, the argument, not the naysayer, that this is going to hurt our other fundraising. It will not. It will increase your other fundraising. And why is that? You know, scratching your head, maybe. Why do people increase? What have they done when they've included you in their will? They've put you alongside their husband, wife, children, grandchildren, and dear friends. That's how close they feel to you. That's how much they love your work. And they feel so close to it that they increase their other giving. This is where we've been, folks. We primarily debunked those top 5 myths of planned giving. I've got one slide on continuing ed if you want to go further. And then I see some questions. I see some chat. Let's see if there are questions in the chat. I hope so. Let's see. If you would like to learn more about planned giving, if you're a book reader, I recommend this book, Planned Giving Simplified. I don't know if it's in digital format because it's old, but it's still very valuable. Planned Giving Simplified by Robert Sharp Sr. I have a free PDF download if you would like to learn more detail about some of the things I've talked about today. Unleash the game-changing power of planned giving at your nonprofit. You can use that short URL I have there, or much easier, just snap that QR code and it will take you to the download page and you'll get my free how-to guide on planned giving. And if you want to go even deeper, I run an online course called Planned Giving Accelerator in this coming March, April, and May. It runs just 3 months. We're done by Memorial Day, so there's no conflict with summer plans. I will guide you step by step how to launch planned giving at your nonprofit. We do it in meeting format on Zoom, not webinar format, meeting format. So there's lots of crosstalk. The members get to know each other. The peer support is beyond what I expected. We're coming up on, this is going to be the 6th Planned Giving Accelerator class. Folks helping each other, as well as me, of course, helping you week by week. Some of these outcomes, that $4.5 million, that is a small humane society in a small town in Georgia. It's not Atlanta or Augusta, small town. I think it was Athens, Georgia. $4.5 million in planned gift commitments after the accelerator, applying what she learned in the accelerator. $250,000. That was Oregon, a community development agency outside Salem, Oregon. $250,000 in commitments after the accelerator. And the 5 new board gifts, that came in one meeting when a woman briefed her board the way I recommend you do it in the accelerator. And I have a template briefing, template PowerPoint. She briefed the board on planned giving, and 5 people either stood up and said, I've already done it, or I will do it. Right in that board meeting, it happened. So very good outcomes. This is small and mid-sized shops. That's all I work with. The info is at plannedgivingaccelerator.com if you are interested in the course. And a little homage to our host, Mark. If you use code MARK1200, you'll get $1,200 off the tuition by the end of this month. Okay? Alrighty. That is the debunking of those top 5 myths that are so hateful, spiteful, and insidious. Do we have any questions? Are there questions in the chat?